Okay, and final question for today. My inner executive, so this is the INFP 3-year-old inner child, is more like an inner 6-year-old because my situation growing up forced me to develop my outward-facing thinking more than most INFPs or ISFPs. I hear you. I'm hearing you. Because of this, I'm able to rely on my executive for longer periods of time, feeling the effects until later, without feeling the effects until later. How can I balance it better and not get unhealthily rooted in my child executive? Fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking this question, whoever asked this question. Don't be afraid to put your name on these questions as well, because I'd love to know who I'm addressing. Yeah, I actually know quite a lot of INFPs whose executive, the inner 3-year-old inner child, is very highly developed and they're able to function in the world. But by God, my God, do they pay the price after the fact? So, as you were saying, you said the unhealthy rootedness in that space, and that is exactly what it is. It is because it's not a natural way for you to be, because it's a coping mechanism. It has become, you might have become really good at using it, but it's still a coping mechanism. So what we need to do is we need to turn that coping mechanism into a power that you have, but use that power in a reasonable way. So have reasonable expectations of yourself and of your 3-year-old inner child executive to be able to make the most out of your life experience. So if you look at your 4 people within, and you have the ethicist is the adult self, you have the pioneer as the inner parent, and then you have the historian as the 10-year-old, and you have the executive as the 3-year-old. Ask yourself, because you were saying it's like a 6-year-old instead of like a 3-year-old. Ask yourself, is this what is the real strength of this 3-year-old? What are they really good at? So it might be something like getting things done in the outside world in a very effective way, but it might be a specific thing, like, for example, going through contracts and finding the loopholes in the contract. So I'm just using that as an example because there's not enough detail in this to actually give me an example of what this looks like. So let's just say that you're super good, your 3-year-old is super good at finding the loopholes in contracts. Then that is absolutely what, that type of thing is what he or she or they will really shine in. So embrace them, or try to set up situations in a way that gives you that same task to do over and over again. So in that case, it won't be so taxing for your inner 3-year-old. But if you're relying on your inner 3-year-old to do a myriad of different things, just because you have got used to using that part of you, then that is very taxing. So ask your inner 3-year-old, what are you really good at? What do you really enjoy doing? And then try and have them do that thing, and then use your other faculties to do the other jobs that are to be done around that. So let's just say, for example, that you have a business deal coming up, and there are loopholes that you want to find in the contract, and you need to negotiate. You don't want to do the negotiation with your 3-year-old, because he or she or they may not be best at negotiating. They might be best at finding the loopholes in the contract, so therefore use them for that, and then use the other outward facing part of you, which in your case is the pioneer, your inner parent, to negotiate the deal. So try and find the most amazing thing that this 3-year-old really enjoys doing, and try and have them do that particular thing. So that's one thing. The other thing that you could do is make it into a game that anytime you're going into an executive mode, put a timer on for 20 minutes, half an hour. And then stop. So you start, you go into it, you stop, and you come out of it, and you go and do something entirely different. So that you're restricting your time but that you're making a game out of it, so that you're not just beating yourself up into this kind of a routine, but you make a game out of it. Score yourself at the end of the day, see, did I manage half an hour? Did I do it? Did I overdo it? Give yourself a point if you did half an hour and stopped when when the half an hour is up, and then you moved on to something else. Was that something that you were able to do? Give yourself a point. If not, take a deduct a point, and then at the end of the day, see how many points you scored. So let's just say that you work 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day is basically 16 half-hour segments. And the break between the half-hour segments doesn't have to be an hour or 5 hours or anything like that. It can just be a quick walk around the block, a quick, do some sit-ups, watch one video on YouTube, something like that. So you're breaking that kind of half-hour executive time. You have a break, and then you might be able to do another half-hour executive time. So score yourself, make it into a game, and then at the end of the week, see how much you scored, and then the following week, how much you scored that time. So you start to get better at utilizing that 3-year-old inner child executive in a way that's actually right for them, but also that is regulated. Now, there are a lot of studies done, especially in Sweden and Nordic countries, around what amount of working hours is actually effective in life. And it's not more than 6 hours a day of effectiveness time. So remember that, okay? So if you're super good at, if your 3-year-old inner child as an IFP executive is really good at doing this, then give her up to him, her, or them up to half an hour of kind of a time. If not, generally I recommend 5 to 10 minutes, max 15 minutes with the 3-year-old. Up to half an hour with the 10-year-old, and then the grown-up parts of you can handle a lot more time. But remember what you're really good at. You're really good at authenticity. You're really good at, being the ethical person. You're really good at knowing what's right or wrong. You're really good at exploring new spaces where perhaps people haven't been before. You're pioneer, you're inner parent. So you're really, really good at those things already. So how can you use the inner 3-year-old? How can you harness the inner 3-year-old and the inner 10-year-old to actually help you to be in a supportive role for the things that you're really good at already? Okay, was that helpful? Pop down some comments in the comment section, and don't forget to tag us into some questions for next week. I'm still trying to find the right time to run this, so it'll be sometime around this time-ish or something like this. I'm just trying to work out my schedule so that I'm able to manage everything that I do right now. So thank you for today's session. Thank you for participating. Great to see you all here. Great to see you, Venla, Aaron, Tracy, Matthew, Andrew. Awesome to have you guys here live. And I look forward to our session next week. Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe.